He's the hottest guy in show business. Here he is, Macaulay Culkin.
Like, oh, you slept in the same bedroom as him. It's like, I don't think you understand. Nothing happened, you know? I mean, nothing, really. I mean, we played video games.
Did you have any say in whether or not you worked when you were young?
Not really, no.
You disliked him all through it.
Yeah, and he disliked me too. Like, we didn't like each other. Going around the country, like, locked in a room with a guy who doesn't like me. Like, honestly, he was a bad man. He was a and, like, yeah, like, physically and mentally.
Macaulay Culkin lived through hell as a child star. His father was a nasty man who dictated his career. Macaulay wanted nothing more but to escape his father, but he was forced to work on set and pay for their family. He eventually cut ties with his family until his sister Dakota was tragically killed, and his girlfriend Mila Kunis of 7 years cheated on him at his lowest moment. So let's get into it. Before we dive into today's video, I've got something super exciting to share with you guys, especially if you like games like The Sims or puzzles. Introducing your new favorite game, Media's Merge, and I must admit, it is the best way to unwind. It's created by the same designer that did The Sims 3 and Sims 4, but in my opinion, it's even better. Imagine a world where you can discover, merge, and create incredible golden artifacts, all while solving fun and challenging puzzles. Now, the game is set in the world of Mita, where every merge brings a new surprise. You'll collect treasures and combine them with creatures to help Queen Laya and King Midas on their quest to illuminate the realm. Now, the graphics are stunning and the gameplay is smooth and addictive. Whether you're a casual gamer or a puzzle enthusiast, Midas Merge offers endless fun and excitement. And my favorite part is the over 200 cute creatures that you're gonna fall in love with. And you'll never get bored of this game because it merges several different games into one experience. So if you're looking for a new game to get lost in, Midas Merge is for you. Download it using my link in the description below. You guys aren't gonna regret it. And right now, Midas Merge is giving away a $500 Amazon voucher to one of you lucky viewers. So make sure you download it using my link in the description below and reach level 10 to be entered into this amazing prize. Thank you, Midas Merge, for sponsoring this video, and enjoy. We're going to be talking about Macaulay Culkin and all the struggles he went through as a child star. I feel like nowadays we're finally starting to realize that these children go through trauma behind the scenes and on set as, you know, kids growing up in this industry. And Macaulay is no exception to this. So I want to take you guys back to where he came from and everything he's gone through, because he's been able to survive a lot. Macaulay is the third of 7 children, and he is far from a nepo baby because his family struggled with money. His eldest sibling was actually a struggling actor who landed a few small roles on Broadway before his career stalled. Macaulay and his 6 siblings and their parents lived together in a small railway apartment in New York City, with all 7 kids sharing one single room and sleeping in bunk beds. Macaulay said it was basically one long hallway separated by doorways with no doors. As I said earlier, his family is involved in the industry in some way. I mean, his dad did a little bit of acting, but he had an embarrassing moment and ended up giving it up.
Doing King Lear, off Broadway.
Right.
He's playing Gloucester, way off Broadway. He's playing Gloucester, and Gloucester gets his eyes poked out.
Yeah.
So he is so into his part, he closes his eyes. And so he's doing the soliloquy, and he's getting closer and closer to the edge of the stage.
Yeah.
And he doesn't notice because he's so into the part, because he's blind. And then he spills into the first row.
Yeah.
And hurts himself. This is opening night.
Yeah.
And injures himself and can't do the rest of the run of the whole show. And apparently that was like the last acting gig he ever did, because it was quite embarrassing.
Now, when it was Macaulay's turn for a shot in the industry, he skyrocketed to fame in the 90s with films like Uncle Buck, My Girl, and Richie Rich. And of course, he had his big hit with Home Alone. When Macaulay hit it big time, his father, Kit, quit his day job to oversee Macaulay's film career along with his wife, Patricia. This means that Macaulay, at a young age, became the breadwinner for his family. And starring in the Home Alone franchise ended up giving him a pretty penny.
Here's the #1 box office guy in the country right now. First time on this show. You understand? Gelman got him first before anybody got him. He beat Rocky this weekend. He's the hottest guy in show business. Here he is, Macaulay Culkin.
Home Alone became the highest grossing film of 1990, grossing over $475 million. And I remember being a kid and watching it, so I was part of the people participating. And it was an adorable movie. The 1992 sequel, Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, was another box office hit, earning more than $350 million. Now, for the first movie, Macaulay was actually paid only $100,000 for his appearance, but the second movie, he brought home $4.5 million. Macaulay became the first child actor to be paid $1 million for his follow-up role in My Girl, as well as the second youngest celebrity to host SNL at the age of 11.
This is it, pal. You are a bona fide star as of right now. The #1 box office movie of the weekend.
With Macaulay making all this money and at one point making $6 million for a movie, his parents were said to be pocketing 15% of their son's pay. But as we know, a lot of people are corrupt when it comes down to this, and they were taking much more than just 15%.
Did you have any say in whether or not you worked when you were young?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Like, it was, after a while, it became, like I said, a job, and it was, I never chose the projects. They were like my parents, like, essentially like chose them for me.
So they
so
were
it was
like,
kind of
good news, Macaulay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They called
You're
me
gonna
Macaulay.
buy us a new house.
yeah, there you go. And like, I never read any of the scripts. Like, I would just read like the lines for like the next day or whatever. Like, I would like get the gist of what the movie was about, but then I just kind of show up and hit my marks, find my light, and recite my lines.
So surreal.
Because Macaulay was so incredibly successful, his father, Kit, kind of became like a Kris Jenner, like a super manager in the industry, and became powerful. Listed as 48th most powerful person in Hollywood back in 1993, he started to get some enemies like Eddie Murphy and Michael Douglas. Studio bigwigs complained that he often tried to use his power to wrest creative control of Macaulay's movies and to promote the other siblings. Eventually, as he began to make missteps in the roles he picked for his golden child, the executives turned on him. Macaulay said that he felt like his father was jealous of him because everything he tried to do in his life, I excelled at it before I was 10 years old. Whenever he and his father left to make a movie, Macaulay found himself locked in a hotel room with a man who didn't like him. But at least it spared the rest of his family months of their father's cruelty. On the WTF podcast hosted by Mark Maron, Macaulay shared that his father was a bad man and he was abusive. When he discussed his father's controlling nature, he said, he played games with you just to make sure you were still in your place. Recalling how when he was a teenager with a net worth of millions, his father forced him to sleep on the couch and refused him to let him have his own bed. He said, quote, it was more to prove a point, I think. Which shows that his father does seem to be jealous and that he wants to like have fear and power over him and to check his son to make sure, like, even though you're the breadwinner and you're the star, I'm not going to let you think that you're ahead of me, which is just really foul. And I feel like a parent should just love their kid unconditionally and be happy for them. Like, I can't imagine like a Kris Jenner punishing a Kardashian like this. I can't imagine having a father like this. And their tension began to escalate when they began traveling for Macaulay's films. Macaulay shared that his father also took out his anger on his family, saying he was a bad dude, an abusive man, and a piece of work.
You disliked him all through it.
Yeah, and he disliked me too. Like, we didn't like each other.
Really?
Yeah. But then all of a sudden, imagine this man who you dislike, kind of thing, and he dislikes you. Now I become the sole focus of him when I start earning. So now all of a sudden I'm like, going around the country, like locked in a room with a guy who doesn't like me, kind of thing. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's.
But how does that? Why?
I was kind of even like relatively jealous,
Well, sure. Oh, he was jealous.
I think so. I everything that he tried to do in his life, like, I excelled at, like, before I was 10 years old. He was a bad man. Like, honestly, he was a bad man. He was abusive and like physically and mentally. And he was the worst kind of stage parent, really trying to push his young kid to the edge. Kit threatened to hit Macaulay when he was 11 years old if he used cue cards on SNL, which is a very common practice. Macaulay's father, Kit, put a lot of pressure on him. According to Macaulay, he said, do good or I'll hit you. Historically, every SNL cast member and host has used cue cards for the live show. Not being able to use them had a direct effect on all the cast members, as Macaulay recalls. Quote, my father was
such a crazy person about it, I had to do the whole episode without cue cards. Yeah, so also that meant every other person in the cast couldn't have cue cards either. That means in any scene that he was in, no cue cards whatsoever because he didn't like it when people glanced off. So that's kind of demanding of his father, and I mean, really kind of taking over a show that he's not running. Now, Macaulay actually had a relationship with Michael Jackson. He became friends with Michael Jackson and starred in the video for Black or White. Now, we know Michael Jackson was a young child star, really pushed to his breaking point, so they had that to bond over.
You cheater! Why? He cheats a lot, but he's fun.
Now, I have to admit, I don't know if I would leave my child with Michael Jackson. I don't know if the dad was there or what happened. I don't know if this friendship makes sense. I don't really think an adult can be friends with a little kid, but maybe he has some empathy, Michael does, to what Macaulay could be going through at this time.
How did you guys meet? We met, what was it? Lincoln Center. Lincoln Center? In the Nutcracker. You were in the Nutcracker? Great dancer. Matt's a great dancer. Yeah.
Michael Jackson claimed in the infamous Martin Fisher documentary that many children, including Macaulay, had slept in his bed, but as an adult, Macaulay dismissed the idea that anything happened. So weird to think that he slept in Michael Jackson's bed. Like, oh my gosh, I'm creeped out. Macaulay said that he had no reason not to come forward if he knew anything. He said the guy passed on. If anything, I'm not going to say it would be stylish or anything like that, but right now is a good time to speak up. And if I had something, I would speak up, but he never saw anything and he never did anything to Macaulay.
What happened at the house? That's what all these things are people are
that's
concerned
what's
about.
so weird, you know.
What did happen?
Nothing happened, you know. I mean, nothing really. I mean, we played video games, you know. We played it as an amusement park. Well, the thing is with that whole thing is that, you know, they go, oh, you slept in the same bedroom as him. It's like, I don't think you understand. Michael Jackson's bedroom is 2 stories. And it has like 3 bathrooms and this and that. So when I slept in his bedroom, yeah, but you have to understand the whole scenario. And
I understand what Macaulay's saying, and I think he's speaking the truth, but I don't really agree with what he's saying, like the sentiment of it. I'm still a little bit, red flag, major red flag. Now, when Richie Rich, Macaulay's final movie as a child actor, bombed at the box office in 1994, Kit, his father, was declared box office poison. Then the family began to unravel. Kit and Macaulay's mother, Patricia, began a custody war, and it looked like all the millions their child had brought to the family would end up in legal bills. Macaulay described how he walked away from acting after a series of box office failures. He told his parents, "I'm done, guys. I hope you made your money because there's no more coming from me." At the age of 15, Macaulay took the explosive step to formally emancipate himself by removing his mom and dad as his legal guardians. It was reported the teen wanted to keep his hands solely on the $13 million fortune he had gotten from his movie stardom. He said, "I legally took my parents off the trust fund and found an executor. The next thing you know, there were headlines that I had divorced my parents. I just thought I was doing it cleanly, taking my father's name off and taking my mom's name off, so in my opinion, unbiased." He goes on saying, "Look, I mean, it sucks, but it could have been worse, you know. I wasn't working in a coal mine. I wasn't a child soldier. My father wasn't harming me. Certainly effed up things happened, but effed up things happen to kids from time to time." He said, "I mean, look at me. I got money, I got fame, I got a beautiful girlfriend and a beautiful house and beautiful animals." Even though he did emancipate himself, he did get wrapped up in their legal battle. Macaulay said, "Basically, I had millions and millions of dollars in the bank and my mother couldn't pay rent because she was spending all of her money on lawyers. We were about to get evicted from our apartment. The only way I could get access to that money was to take my father's name off of it, but I didn't want to make it messy, so I figured I'd take both their names off." During their trial, Macaulay actually learned how much money his father earned from him, saying, "My father would hide newspapers from me so I wouldn't read the stuff about him or find out how much I was making," saying they didn't want me running off to my friends saying, "I just made $8 million, which I get it. You don't want your kid to be, you want them to be humble, but also how much are you taking of that? In 2001, Macaulay told the New York Magazine that Kit, his father, did not show up for the last day of his custody battle with his mom, and he hasn't heard from his father since that day, since he was 16 years old. Reports write, after spending much of his childhood on movie sets, serving as a cash cow for his parents, teenage Macaulay Culkin became burned out. He desperately wanted to take off some time, and he wanted a little break from the industry. He explained, "I did 14 movies in 6 years, which is more than 2 a year, and just kind of pumping them out. And I was at this point where I really wanted to take a break." After shutting his father out of his life when he was a teenager, the rift between Macaulay Culkin and his dad Kit only remained, but apparently intensified over years. In 2014, TMZ reported that Kit had suffered an enormous stroke that left him hospitalized. TMZ also reported that Kit had been striving to repair his damaged relationship with Macaulay and reportedly made overtures to his estranged son before the stroke apparently sidelined that plan. So his father at least was trying to reach out and make amends, but maybe, you know, Macaulay's not ready. When a Daily Mail reporter asked if he had heard from his most famous son, Kit said, "I don't consider him a son anymore." Now, when it came to Macaulay and his teenage years, he went through it. I mean, with a father like that and a career as a child star and kind of like checking out, people are going to be invested in your life, and if you're not doing the best, then they're going to critique you. And he kind of had like a Britney Spears experience. Macaulay said it was so blown out of proportion. "I never did anything more than any upper class, Upper West Side kid you would know. We weren't like all squatting in the corner shooting heroin." And when he was a teenager, he did experience with drugs, and you know, he got caught up in it, but he wasn't, I mean, according to himself, you know, he never fell deep into it. He just had a microscope on him.
You know, everything that I do, for some reason, becomes this big crazy thing, you know, even though any normal person does it. Like, yeah, I'm a kid, I had a beer, you know, I smoked a joint, big deal. You know what I'm saying? And it's not something I make a thing out of or anything like that.
Despite writing off his casual drug use, he did find himself in trouble. In 2004, he was released from Oklahoma City jail after posting bond for drug possession. Supposedly, he was speeding on the highway, and he was arrested after officers found the substances in a search of the car. 17.3 grams of weed. That's a lot of weed. 8 Xanax pills and 16 white round pills, which are like Klonopin, which is like another form of Xanax kind of. It was Macaulay's behavior during that traffic stop that actually heightened the cops' suspicions enough to search the vehicle. They say Macaulay appeared to have a very nervous look on his face, appeared to be very pale, and had red, watery, bloodshot eyes and a very stressed look about his person. Macaulay pled guilty to both charges. He got off with a slap on the wrist, receiving 2 one-year sentences, both of which were deferred. But after his 2004 drug bust, rumors began to arise that he had, fell into substance abuse. In 2012, the National Enquirer reported that Macaulay was strung out on heroin, spending $6,000 a month to feed his addiction that was so severe he'd be lucky to be alive in 6 months. Macaulay dismissed the tabloid rumors, saying, "I was not pounding 6 grand of heroin every month or whatever," he told The Guardian in 2016. However, a few years after that, he admitted that he had flirted with drugs, but nowhere at the level the National Enquirer had been claiming, saying he did play with some fire, but I guess that's the way you put it. He said, "At the same time, I've never been to rehab or anything like that. I've never had to clean out that way." Unfortunately, Macaulay had some tragedy in 2008 when his oldest sister Dakota was hit on a car while walking in Los Angeles, which is so scary. Like, walking across the road in LA is just dangerous. You have to look both ways multiple times, and honestly in any city that you're in, because I have known people too that have gotten hit and just die, and it's like, oh my god, it's so avoidable. People, like, they're on their phone, they're texting. It's just, I can't handle it. I feel like I'm so focused when I'm driving, I can't imagine texting. You do the do not disturb, and you just wait until you get somewhere else. Put some good podcast on. I love some Crime Junkie, some Up First, some NPR, learn about the world. So unfortunately, Dakota died shortly after the accident. When speaking with Esquire more than a decade later, Macaulay reflected on the tragic loss, saying, "She passed away 11 years ago tomorrow. That was the last time I talked to her, and she passed away overnight," that kind of thing. Now, I made a video talking about Macaulay and Mila Kunis' relationship. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go and watch that video. But this was around the same time that Mila and him broke up after dating for 7 years. In an interview, it sounds like she admits to cheating and leaving Macaulay at one of his most vulnerable times. And she does express guilt on many occasions for what she did to Macaulay and the impact it had on him, and especially he was struggling. So I guess they were really close together. They were really young when they were together. Doesn't mean that like they are soulmates, but she feels like she did him dirty, and I think it really hit him hard.
I had a horrible breakup, and I was
horrible
like,
in that you were very sad over it.
No, I fucked up. Like, I was an asshole in my 20s. And I'll be the first to admit it. And that's kind of something that took me a long time to come out and be like, yeah, you know what? I was a dick, and I accept it, and I own it now. And it's fucked up what I did.
After this, we started to see really concerning pictures of Macaulay Culkin, and people were worried that he was using substances or just generally not doing well. After this, he decided to stay low-key because it seemed like the media was just picking him apart. But then he came back, and now he's with Brenda Song. They have a happy relationship together, and he seems to be healthy. They've been together since 2017, and they have 2 children together. They met in 2017 in Thailand on the set of Seth Green's movie Changeland. Brenda said that you can't be around him and not be happy. They had their first child together, and their son was named Dakota after his sister. That's so sweet. Oh my God, it's gonna make me tear up. In December 2023, Macaulay paid tribute to Brenda Song after being awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In his speech, he praised the support of his loving wife and their 2 children. Oh, it's so sweet too. He said, I get like choked up from this stuff. You're the only person happier for me today than I am. You're not only the best woman I've ever known, you're the best person I've ever known. I'm like about to, why am I about to cry? I love a good happy ending. He really went through it. It's kind of a long clip, but I want you guys to see how sweet it is. And it's adorable to see how well he's doing and how much like they love each other, especially because I grew up watching Zack and Cody. So London Tipton out here, you know, Brenda Song, we cannot not be a fan of these people. Like they're 2 like kind of child stars who've come together and they just have a happy, normal life.
There's so many people that I love. To feel that love back is just amazing. Lastly, but not leastly, I'd like to thank Brenda. You are absolutely everything. You're my champion. You're the only person happier for me today than I am. You're not only the best woman I've ever known, you're the best person. You've given me family, you know, and after the birth of our 2 boys, you become one of my 3 favorite people. You're somewhere in there. I love you. I love you so much. To wrap things up, and in the spirit of the holiday season, I just want to say, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Before we wrap up this video, I do want to talk quickly about Kit, his father. Last report we have in 2022, Kit had made some attempts to meet his son's first child, Dakota. Macaulay reportedly rebuffed that overture and refused to let his dad anywhere near his son. Also, when he received his star on the Walk of Fame in December 2023, his manager father was nowhere to be found. It's such a sad story that Macaulay had gone through, and it happens too often to child stars. And I hope that there's a new age where we protect them, especially after we've learned so much about Nickelodeon and many more. If you guys have any other video ideas for me, my email is SloanWellKnown@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and open this P.O. Box package item. It's kind of interesting packaging. And if you guys ever want to send me anything, my P.O. Box is listed below. It says, keep your gift a surprise, unwrap your present before opening this envelope. Okay. So, interesting. Let's go ahead and see. I'm a little bit nervous. Feels like a book. Okay, so it looks like it's a book called Art of the Lips, which I guess, oh, cute. It's like a little, like, coffee table book. Oh, I love that. Hi, Sloan. Congrats on 1 million. I wanted to send you something I created in my book, Art of the Lips. You might recognize a few works because Brittany shared them on her Instagram. Cute. I hope you enjoyed them, from Valada Haggerty. Cute. That's so cool that Brittany had shared them. It's such a good, like, little picture book to look at because, like, you know, I don't have time to read when I'm sitting in someone's, like, living room. Like, but that's a good distraction because sometimes my phone just gives me headaches. Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.